evening, race fans. Welcome to today's Legacy Sports Car Series, sponsored by Ledford Construction, coming to you from the beautiful Road Atlanta here in Braselton, Georgia. We're looking forward to another great race tonight as our competitors take to open qualifying out on the racetrack. It's going to be a 45-minute race tonight here, ladies and gentlemen. Should be a very, very good time. What am I saying? It's always a good time here at the Legacy Sports Car Series. As always, I'm your host, James East, up in the booth, bringing it to you live, 1080p, 60 frames a second, on behalf of Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. So competitors have 15 minutes here to put down the best qualifying time they possibly can. As you're watching Johnny Eckert and the number 90 machine doing his best to get that machine rolling around the raceway here at Road Atlanta. Blistering hot down here in the south right now. All these competitors doing their best to hang it out and hold on to it. Still a newer series that's developing, so everybody's kind of getting the hang of things, really getting used to how the cars are going to work, how they work with each other. As a reminder, these guys do run cheap cars and have a bunch of fun. They run the LMP2, the Honda ARX-01C. They run the Daytona prototype, the Riley Daytona prototype. They run a GT1 class with the Aston Martin DBR9 GT1, as well as the Chevrolet Corvette C6.R GT1. And they also have a GT2 class with the Ford GT2. So a lot of good, inexpensive cars for all these guys to get out there and get racing. Right now, a little bit of a points update. Heading out front in the LMP2 class is going to be Nick Terrell, followed by Casey Carrington in second place. Carrington finds himself 33 points behind the leader. And in third place, Cody Mars Ledford. He's about 85 points down from the leader. In the Daytona prototype class, you've got Johnny Eckert in the number 90 machine currently out front, and Ahmed Echo in second place. Ahmed finds himself about 65 points behind Johnny Eckert. And then finally the GT1 class, you've got Dennis Weeks out front. DJ doing a good job holding it there, followed by Charles Boschel, I believe is the right way to say his name. Charles finds himself 33 points behind in the standings. There's as well as a team points race going on right now. All Outlaw Racing finds themselves out front, followed by Pinarchy in second place. So a lot of good racing going on here across, really from everybody. So good to see all of our competitors out here doing a good job, doing their best. Road Atlanta, I'm excited to be here. This is my home track. So as a Georgia native, this is the track I am closest to. I've got a lot of seat time here on motorcycles, 0 seat time on anything with 4 wheels. Let's see, right now you got Alex Penn out front, put down a 1.12.53 for his best lap. Nick Terrell, the other LMP2 driver, he's put down a 1 minute 12.96. So not a lot separating the top 3 cars here on those Hondas. So on your screen, you're going to see yellow marking the LMP2s. You're going to see a baby blue type of color signifying the Daytona prototype drivers. And then you're going to see a pink color out there. That's going to be your GT1 drivers. Oh, look at that. Nick Terrell has a moment coming out of turn 1. Trying to eke down a little bit faster lap, but it seems like it worked as he puts down a 1.11.47. So maybe a little bit of strategy there saying, hey, if I hold it wide going into 1, I can put down just a little bit faster time, and it seems like it works for him as Nick Terrell is going to rocket on top of provisional qualifying. Now with open qualifying, you may be seeing some of these drivers trying to work the draft to their advantage It is multi-class, so 3 very unique different driving styles out there on track at the same time. So you may see some LMP2s give a tow to their GT1 friends, or Daytona prototype drivers may try and fall in line. Right now though, look at that GT1 driver, DJ Weeks. He's put down a 1.17.43. That's going to put him on top of the provisional pole for his class in the GT1 class, but he's not that much slower than the Daytona prototypes. Johnny Eckert, pole setter for the DP class, he's put down a 1.16. So that means GT1 drivers such as DJ are only about a second off the pace from the Daytona prototypes. That is not that big of a gap here at Road Atlanta, especially when draft comes into play. We talked to some of the drivers in their haulers before the race started. Some guys were working on different setups. A few drivers commenting, you know what, maybe high downforce is the way to go. We'll give up a little bit of speed on the backstretch here at Road Atlanta, but it may help us keep it on track throughout the race. DJ hucks it into turn 12 at Road Atlanta, trying to use every amount of track he can. He's going to dive it into 1-1 at turn Atlanta. Is one of those kind of intimidating corners. You want to ride the far left of the racetrack and then kind of swoop it into the right to really get drive going up the hill. You see him going through the S's down the backside of Road Atlanta. And then next you're going to see him up on Spectator Hill, where all the fans like to watch. Wicks it through 5, gets on the gas, a little bit too much marble there, and he realizes, oh nope, dirtied up that lap, let's go ahead and bring it in. We're going to currently watch Cody Mars Ledford in his LMP2. Doing his best to hold on. It's going to take it up the hill in turn 5. Blast down this short little roller coaster of a straightaway. Getting ready to huck it into 6 here. Now here you can see Ledford try and use much as the left side of the racetrack, going to 7 as he can. Try and get that Honda as straight as possible with the best drive possible as he pushes down the backstretch here at Road Atlanta. And you're going to see just how fast he can come over through 9. Driving it in deep, going into 10A. Turning right into 10B, over the kink here, what they technically call 11 under the bridge, and then turn 12, a very, very fast, very intimidating turn. If you run out of talent or ability, you can quickly find yourself into the wall there. So Ledford showing us a way around Road Atlanta. Take a look at Johnny Eckert, the number 90 Daytona prototype. Eckert very fast in almost everything he does. Currently our fastest Daytona prototype, and he's able to start, possibly getting a tow from the LMP2s in front of him. Now to give you an idea of the pace difference between the LMP2s and the Daytona prototypes, Eckert is about 5 seconds slower than LMP2 provisional pole setter Nick Terrell. Oh, Eckert has a moment. A very funky and original NVIDIA paint scheme that Eckert is running tonight. Eckert's going to yield to some of his competitors here. I believe that's Ahmed we see in the 26 machine. Eckert having a little bit of fun for the fans watching here at Road Atlanta. Road Atlanta does hold the Petit Le Mans that will be hosted later this year. Should also be a good one. They hold the Midi, where it's a bunch of vintage racers having a good time. They hold IMSA races, Wera CCS, motorcycle races. So Road Atlanta, a very nice raceway, recently remodeled. It is now officially called Michelin Speedway after a lot of work and money went into the racetrack. completely redid the broadcasting booth. They remodeled the live timing and scoring tower at Road Atlanta. So good to see a lot of money coming into the track and really fixing things up. Now we just need Road Atlanta powers that be to fix up the bathrooms for all the competitors. It's got to be some of the worst bathrooms for a grade A facility you've ever seen across the country. So the track's great, facility's all right. Livability for the fans and drivers, not so great. And there's your fun real-life tidbit about the track. We've got about 2 minutes left in qualifying. I don't know if we're going to see many things get shaping up. Nick Terrell still has it in pit lane after putting down a minute 11.28 seconds. Alex Penn, second in the LMP2 class. His best is a minute 12.20. Very, very fast down the back stretch of Road Atlanta, 171 miles an hour before Alex Penn starts to slow it up and then navigate 10A, 10B. And some of you guys may be watching at home going, you know what, that section of racetrack looks a little bit familiar. Where do I know that from? Could very well be from Formula Drift, where those guys start out of 5, go into 6 and 7, build up some speed on the backstretch, and then put on a fantastic show at 10A and 10B here at Road Atlanta. Final minute of qualifying about to be underway. Alex Penn, he puts off a personal best, a minute 11 seconds, but still about 0.2, 0.3 seconds, excuse me, he's 0.6 seconds slower than Nick Terrell's best lap time. So good to see how close these competitors really are as qualifying goes. But look at this. Can Alex Penn get a draft? Well, I believe that's Casey Carrington in front of him in the green machine. Not sure how much time that's going to allow Alex Penn to make up using that draft in the backstretch. We know it's beneficial, but is it enough to eke out 0.6 seconds against Nick Terrell's best lap time? Alex Penn clicks off another minute 11.81, so he's going to call it there. Casey Carrington, fan, friend, and a fellow racer. Good to see him out here as well. Carrington, we see him mostly on ovals. Nice to see him out here in the LMP2 class for the Legacy Sports Cars Series. As qualifying has come to a close here at Road Atlanta. These drivers are going to get ready to take to the field. Good to see so many fans in attendance at Road Atlanta here tonight. A beautiful shot of what Spectator Hill looks like from a driver's point of view. As always, we greatly appreciate all of our friends, fans, and family from across the world that tune in to support your favorite drivers. Always give us a shout out in the field. Couldn't do it without you guys at home supporting your favorite drivers. As always, if you have a favorite driver that's out there tonight, let us know. We'll give our best to cheer them on, get them a little bit more TV time. But we're going to get ready to set the grid here at Road Atlanta. It's going to be a good time here tonight. We're waiting to finalize those grids, get these drivers ready. We know they're getting amped up in their virtual sim racing seats as we wait. Gotta say, it's probably one of the biggest grids we've had so far for the Legacy Sports Car Series. Great seeing them out there. As we get ready, it's going to be Nick Terrell out front, Alex Penn starting second, Casey Carrington third, Cody Mars Ledford in fourth for our LMP2 class. Johnny Eckert will be starting first for the Daytona Prototypes. Jack Forgy starting sixth. Ahmed the Echo starting seventh. Carolus Thiel starting eighth for the overall lineup. Dennis Weeks Jr., he's going to be our fastest starter in the GT1 class. He'll be, the GT2 class. He will be starting ninth on the grid. Charles Bochelle will be starting 10th. And that is going to round up our lineup for tonight, but the biggest race attendance we've had so far from our drivers. So very good to see that from all the guys. Series starting to build up, get some more competitors out here, but here we go at Road Atlanta. That iRacing Porsche car will be out front. And we're expecting a good race. 45 minutes for our competitors. Anything can happen. Lights are on. We're going to get ready to give the pace car his signal to get out there and lead these very fast drivers around the racetrack. Nick Terrell running a very patriotic paint scheme for the July 4th weekend. And the I-pacing begins. Ten cars, 3 classes, and 45 minutes. Last week we saw lap traffic really affect the race for the LMP2 drivers. Today in practice they were within a few hundredths of each other before Nick Terrell pulled out all the stops and put down a burner of a lap time. So LMP2 is going to have some great racing. Daytona Prototype is going to have some great racing. 4 competitors in that one. And then the GT Class 2 drivers, DJ Weeks and Charles Bochelle, going to do their best to put on a fantastic show for us. In the GT1 class. I'm excited. I hope you are as well. It's going to be a bar burner here today. This is, I gotta say, it's probably my favorite track. I'm very biased since it's the track I've done so many laps on in real life. Again, on motorcycles, not in 4 wheels. 4 wheels are scary and much more expensive. Drivers looking at the track service, seeing if anything changed since qualifying. We didn't have any big practices, so no oil on the track. No quick dry to really mess with our drivers here. There should be good, clean racing, but boy, is turn 1 gonna be excited. Multi-class, Road Atlanta, 3 different, very different driving styles out there. We saw the GT1 drivers have the pace as some of the Daytona Prototype drivers. So that's gonna be some slow cars going slightly faster. They go through 10A, they go through 10B. Pace car will be in right as he crosses the bridge here. Pace car is in, an early launch. Here we go, not even really a proper race start into 1. The race is really gonna start at turn 12 here. We're gonna look back in the mid-pack, we're looking at Ahmed in the Daytona Prototype. He's currently 3rd in class. But here comes some good racing. Alex Penn, he's holding off Casey Carrington right now. Nick Terrell out front, putting on a show. He's got over a 1.2 second gap to second place. As competitors make their way onto the backstretch here at Road Atlanta, we've got Ahmed off track, Thiel off track. Carnage in turn 7. We'll try and get a quick replay of that for everybody watching along at home. That's Ahmed in the 26 just gets a little bit loose, sends it sliding off. But manages to keep that car relatively clean out here. Look at this absolute stack of driver. This is the battle for 5th overall. Jack Forsey and his Daytona prototype. He is leading the DP class. Behind him, Johnny Eckert running in 2nd in class. But look at DJ Weeks, Charles Bochelle. They are very, very fast in their GT1s. Trying to stay in that draft with a slightly faster class and see if they can reel them in here. And oh no, who do we have? Cody Ledford. And the number 1 machine has a big, big moment. Other drivers scattering to avoid. And we'll get you your Ledford Construction sponsored replay for that one. Ledford, the prototype, gets a little bit unsettled here in the S's. Drifts wide into 5. Locks it up. What a scary moment. Drifts across the racetrack. So well done for the competitors not hitting that LMP2 machine. That could have been much, much worse. As we're once again watching the battle for the lead for the DP class. Here comes Eckert trying to get up to Jack Forsey in the 74 machine. They're going to run neck and neck here, drafting very, very tight onto the start-finish line straight, coming out of 12. But man, great racing from all of the guys out here today. So in DP, you've got Forsey out front, Eckert in 2nd, Ahmed in 3rd, and Thiel 4th. Both of those drivers having a rough night so far. And we're going to take it back out front. Nick Terrell just put down his best lap time of the race. A 1 minute, 12 second, .81 lap time with race fuel on these. So very, very impressive. About a second off of his qualifying set time, but how long can Mr. Terrell hold the pace out here today? He's doing a fantastic job in that Honda. A very beautiful paint scheme in the 81. We see a little bit of reports. We saw Ahmed and Charles going back and forth there. So not sure if there's an incident between one of the faster cars or what may have happened. But right now, LMP2s are getting a little bit stretched out. Nick Terrell currently holds a 2.4 second gap over 2nd place Alex Penn. And Alex Penn has a 1.4 second gap over 3rd place Casey Carrington. Oh, that shot right there shows you somebody had some big, big problems going into 10A. Penn trying to whittle away at that gap on Terrell. Terrell has blistering speed. He seems very consistent in so far. These competitors are about 5 laps into the race here at Road Atlanta. Interested to see how things are going to develop for these competitors. And let's look here. Johnny Eckert. Man, Johnny Eckert, current race leader for the DP class. Jack Forsey running 2nd, have been absolutely glued to each other this entire race so far. Haven't seen really more than a second gap at all between these top 2 Daytona prototype cars, as they are riding the ragged edge, using all of turns 5 banking allow. So in real life and in the iRacing service, you can push wide out of 5, use all the curbing and kind of runoff area there. As long as you don't touch the gravel, you're good to go. So No off tracks will be awarded as these guys are doing everything perfect, really hitting their marks here. And just running nose to tail all the way around the racetrack. Oh, here we go. Eckert dives to the inside into 10A. Forsey takes it back into 10B. And oh, Eckert's trying to make it happen here. Eckert doing his best to edge out that inside line against his friend Jack Forsey. He gets it going into 1, but can he hold on to it? Going into this very tight section of Atlanta, they've got to really slow these cars down and navigate some of the tighter sections. And those bumps really upsetting these Daytona prototypes, as once again, here comes Jack Forsey, glued to the rear bumper of Johnny Eckert. Down the short straightaway, gonna dive it down deep into 6. And then right here is all of a game on who can carry the best momentum down the back straight. Eckert has a little bit of a wiggle there. Let's see what the draft does for Jack Forsey. We know he's got the speed, but Eckert's going to hold the inside line. Looks like Forsey's going to have to follow him once more. So not sure what downforce setups these drivers are racing with. It's open setup league, so they can run whatever they want. Some guys are going to be opting for more downforce to kind of make up for shortcomings on the first half of Road Atlanta. It's very technical and very, very tight for the most part. Or who's going to run a little bit lower downforce, opt for more speed, and you might see them have the advantage on the back straight. We did see that Cody Mars Ledford had an incident involved in a crash. We'll get you a replay of that. Oh! Ledford gets a little bit snap loose coming out of turn 10A under the bridge. Ooh, that's dangerous. Tries to get off the racetrack, and oh, what a very, very dangerous spot to be in. So Ledford limps it into pit lane from there, but oh, if there was more drivers around him, that could have been catastrophic. A little bit of an update. Terrell still out front. Behind him, he's got Penn and Carrington doing their best. But this is the real battle right now. Daytona prototype drivers, Johnny Eckert, Jack Forsey, put on a show side by side under the bridge, coming into turn 12. Not a lot of room there to go wide and keep it wide open. Eckert's going to hold the position for now. Forsey's showing him, hey, I've got the pace to run with you. I want to be a part of this. We're only 10 minutes in as these drivers navigate back up into turn 1. Oh no, we see Alex Penn, Casey Carrington involved in an incident. Two very fast LMP2 drivers having a very rough night. Let's see what happens here. Penn gets loose into 6, or coming out of 7, and then Carrington just barely gets into him. So just like that, but two very fast drivers involved in an incident. It's going to really set them back. Now Nick Terrell's got a 6-second gap over second place Casey Carrington. Ahmed finds himself in an incident as well. We're going to get to that replay once our Daytona prototype leaders get back to the start-finish line straight. Don't want to miss a possible pass here. All right, let's see what happened to Ahmed. Ahmed in the 26 sponsored GoDaddy machine. Driving through the S's, whips it way too hard into 5, and he goes for a ride. Does a good job holding on to it, though. And look at this, Jack Forsey, he's going to lead Johnny Eckert around for a lap here at Road Atlanta. As he's oh! Just out of the corner of your screen, we saw Cody Ledford go flying across track. That was a spectacular incident. Cody Ledford, Charles, I think Boschele involved in that as well. Watch Cody Ledford in the number 1 machine. Ledford never lifts. That's ARCA brake training at its finest. And just suddenly finds himself yeeted across the racetrack. Realizes too little too late. Whips it into the inside wall. That crash could have been much, much worse for Ledford. Glad he's all right. Oh, that could have been bad. Back to the action. Johnny Eckert. Now he's in front of Jack Forsey. Both these drivers doing an extremely good job keeping it clean. I'm not sure if anyone expected that the DP class was going to have the best racing. So many good LMP2 drivers. Just falling victim to a little bit of bad luck, and for some places, wrong time, wrong place. So Johnny Eckert, his best lap was a 1 minute 17.62, compared to Jack Forsey's best, a minute 17.54. Both of these guys are clicking off minute 17 and let's call it a minute 17 lap times. So not only are they running fast, they're running very consistently as they briefly go side by side down the backstretch. Eckert gets a little bit wiggly there, hard on the brakes, but now Jack Forsey gonna pass Eckert, and they're just gonna keep going back and forth here. Survival of the fittest, as we've seen several cars involved in incidents, some more than once. But, oh, this is great racing in the Daytona prototype class. They whip it into 3. As they get ready to go into the S's at Road Atlanta. Pretty soon you can see Spectator Hill up on the, should be on the top right here. Yeah, there it is, all the spectators out in attendance here at Road Atlanta today. As Johnny Eckert, Jack Forsey putting on arguably the best show so far today. Forsey in his Snap-on sponsor number 74, Eckert in the Outlaw Racing sponsor 90 machine. Eckert's going to hold on to it this lap. We've got Charles Boschele. He's involved in an incident. Try and grab that replay for you. Boschele, the number 51 Chevrolet Corvette. Not sure what happens here, if he gets a friendly boop. But that's coming out of the S's, getting ready to go into 5. This is probably where it happens here. Boschele hard on the brakes, maybe getting a little bit nervous with that LMP behind him. And then just like that, Boschele whips it around. Oh no, here comes the Jaws music. As Ahmed gets into the left rear quarter panel and smashes the front of that GoDaddy sponsored machine. So once again, more drivers involved and some heartache out here at Road Atlanta. Meanwhile, Nick Terrell, he's out front. Terrell just put down his best lap of the race, a minute 11.78, so almost on par with his qualifying time. But Terrell putting on an absolute clinic. We're going to grab an onboard with the number 81 and show you the proper way to get by here at Road Atlanta. That's a lap with Nick Terrell, current overall race leader and class leader. Terrell showing the proper way to safely navigate lap traffic. That was Johnny Eckert and Jack Forsey going one lap down. That is your battle for the second fastest class, the Daytona Prototypes. And guys, these gentlemen have been glued to each other the entire race here tonight. Cody Ledford's getting a little bit of cheering on from his brother from across the world, and even Race Control saying, man, Daytona Prototype guys putting on an absolutely fantastic show here tonight. I have lost track of the lead changes for these guys. It's got to be at least 10 lead changes for this class. And really helps you appreciate just how fast Nick Terrell's putting down laps out here. As we are less than 20 minutes into the race, and he's already lapped the field, but look at that, the DP class side by side. Oh no, a big crash! Johnny Eckert gets into Jack Forsey. Major damage from the DP1 class. Both drivers are going to have to pit here, but let's look at that replay. No, Eckert stays out. He might have missed the pit lane. We're going to watch the Ledford Construction slow motion replay here. We'll pick it up as we get. They go side by side into 10A. And then it looks to me like Eckert came over, but it's hard to say from a broad. I feel pretty safe in saying Eckert came over there, but we'll see what Race Control has to say. And Jack Forsey takes a huge hit, takes a tow into pit lane, not able to maintain his race car. Forsey had more problems after that. Johnny Eckert's going to limp that number 90 machine around one more time. He's gotta be thinking, I've got to come into pit. He looks very, very injured out there. He's only, he still looks pretty fast. I'm not sure if that's going to affect him or not, or maybe how the car's feeling. Let's see if he boxes this lap. Doesn't look like he's going to, so Eckert's going to stay out. Man, hate to see that for Jack Forsey. Those two drivers were putting on a fantastic show. Right now, Ahmed's in the pits, Forgey's coming out, Ledford's in the pits, Boschel out of the race. So Forsey's coming out in the number 74 machine. Now let's look. Johnny Eckert is slowed down about a full second per lap. So Forsey's going to be a lap down from Eckert, I believe. So he's going to have to really put his nose down, put in some work, and we're going to do a quick onboard for the Daytona Prototype, mostly because we haven't had the opportunity to listen to those drivers yet. Slightly older machines, but doing their best. You see the shift lights working properly on the number 74 as he blasts down the back straight at Road Atlanta. Sees all the cameras to the left. And he's going to dive it deep into 10. He's got to remember, hey, I'm on an outlap. I've got cold tires. As he absolutely hucks it into 10A, carrying as much slip angle as he possibly can. Dives right into 12, and he's going to get back on the gas and try and make something happen here. But really hate to see that for Forsey. He was putting on a great show and a bit of a racing incident going into 10A. Forsey, he's over 1.5 seconds faster. No, I take that back. He's running the same pace for the most part as class leader Johnny Eckert. So Forsey's going to have to hope for Eckert to have some bad luck. He almost does. That was Mr. Thiel having an off-track moment. Thiel running the Daytona Prototypes as well. several laps down now, but man, Johnny Eckert's knowing, hey, I've got to really drive this thing. He should have less downforce now. You see how damaged the rear is of the number 90 machine. That may make him a little bit slower on the tight sections here at Royal Atlanta, but also may make him faster on the backstretch for an overall kind of neutral gain or loss there. Let's see what his last lap was. Showing us a 17.21, so 0.2 seconds off of his best lap of the race. So Eckert has not slowed down a whole lot here at Royal Atlanta. The damage isn't that bad for him in the number 90 machine. Take a look at second overall, second in the LMP2 class. That's Alex Penn. And the number 30, he's going to try and make quick work of one of these slower machines out there tonight. Not slower driver, just slower machines. And Penn, he finds himself still he's on the lead lap, but 45 seconds behind him. Casey Carrington doing a good job getting back in the mix. He's 56 seconds behind race leader Nick Terrell. So these guys are going to be driving the wheels off this thing. Nick Terrell has not come into pit yet. Not sure if there's going to be a fuel strategy for these LMP2 drivers, or if or when they're going to have to pit here. I'd assume so, as we are past the halfway mark of the race. Not sure how long Nick Terrell is going to be able to stay out there for. We'll see if we get an update from our driver, our race control, Joseph Penn, the powers that be. If anybody knows anything about these cars, it's him. But look at that. Nick Terrell very late into his run. 21 laps in on the original set of tires and fuel tank. Puts down a session best 11.52. Terrell driving the wheels off that patriotic 81 machine here today. All these drivers doing a fantastic job. The more you see these drivers get out there and get seat time in these unfamiliar cars, the cleaner the racing will be. We've seen it with other series where drivers take a few weeks to figure themselves out, figure out cars, especially in newer leagues, but all these guys doing a fantastic job, able to keep it out there. As we see Alex Penn, he's coming into pit lane. Nick Terrell, though, he's coming into pit lane as well. So there's your answer. About 21 laps, maybe 22 laps is the limit on fuel for these guys. Now, Casey Carrington, he's second in class, number 9 machine. His last pit stop was lap 9 after an incident. Carrington may be able to get himself closer here to Nick Terrell, but not sure if he's going to have enough laps to really stay out till the end. If I'm doing my math right, if Nick Terrell came in on necessary fuel where he was almost running dry, that means Casey Carrington will have to box one more time. As Nick Terrell back out on track. Casey Carrington's going to gain about 44 seconds on race leader Nick Terrell as Terrell took his pit stop. Total pit time for Terrell was 43.37 seconds. 15.5 of that was spent in his pit box, so not that long of a pit stop by racing standards. That's going to allow Carrington to start reeling in some gap. In front of him, he's got Cody Ledford several laps down. Ledford, Mars, aka Mars. Last week at Daytona, we saw him involved in an incident with Kasey Carrington. Oh no, Kasey Carrington has a moment, saves it going into 6, gets that number 9 machine very unsettled. Doing his best to hold on to it. He's riding around on the ragged edge here. He's going to try and catch a draft from Cody Ledford and help slingshot himself up to the front. Ledford's going to yield the position. Carrington and that Patron sponsor number 9 driving the wheels off that thing. He still finds himself about 22 seconds back from race leader Nick Terrell, and we're still not sure if Carrington's going to have to pit once more. Carrington doing his best to click off some laps here at Road Atlanta, try and see if he can do anything in his ability to catch Nick Terrell, who's been driving like an absolute madman here tonight. Nick Terrell shows how fast and smooth he's really been out here at Road Atlanta. As you see the sector times start to pop up, excuse me. Carrington's doing a little bit better job in sectors 2 and 3, but Nick Terrell seems to be overall holding on to it. Terrell's last lap was a 1 minute 12 seconds compared to Carrington's 1 minute 14 seconds. So Carrington's got to be happy here, just finding his pace, clicking off some laps, and a top 3 and being on the lead lap would be huge for the number 9 machine, especially after the rough race he had at Daytona. Carrington had the pace, but ran into misfortune with lap down cars. I've got to say, Carrington with an absolutely very clean looking race car here tonight. That number 9 Patron sponsored LMP2, always very, very sharp looking. Carrington putting down pretty consistent lap times, consistently faster than third place in class Alex Penn. Penn has worked his way up to the lead lap. And we did get reports from the pit lane reporter that the drivers in the LMP2s have approximately 25 to 30 minutes of fuel at a time. So Nick Terrell came in when he saw the pit window open and said, all right, this is enough. I can run it all the way to the end if I need to. We're going to take you back to GT1 race leader Dennis Weeks Jr. DJ doing a fantastic job in class. Right behind him, he's pretty much doesn't have any competition. The only other, or I take that back, he has no competition. The only other GT1 driver, Charles Bochelle, has opted to park it for the race today. And he does have a couple of faster class cars behind him. Johnny Eckert, Jack Forsey doing his good job working his way back up there. Good to see these drivers putting down clean laps later on in the run. We are about 13.5 minutes left in our race here tonight. As DJ Weeks Jr. doing a great job in his paint scheme, his NVIDIA-backed Corvette. Behind him, Johnny Eckert leading the Daytona prototype class here today. He's got about 17.5 seconds over Jack Forsey Both these drivers involved in an incident going into 10A on around lap 14. That was the best battles we were seeing all night, so hate to see those Daytona guys having a rough night, not able to have the competition they wanted, but when you run that close, that hard, side by side for the entire race, it's bound to happen. That's a great shot showing the 3 different classes we have out here today. GT1, Dennis Weeks Jr. is at the top of your screen. Johnny Eckert, Daytona Prototype, currently what we're focused on. And here comes the LMP2 driver behind him. You'll see the rapidly different closing speeds here. I'm trying to get a good eye on who that was. It's Casey Carrington making work of lap traffic. Right now, Carrington finds himself behind Johnny Eckert as well as DJ Weeks as they go into 6. So Carrington's going to play a little bit safe here. No, he doesn't have to try and push the pass, especially to come out in the backstretch at Royal Atlantis. He tricycles that LMP2 around turn 7, and they go 3 wide on the backstretch. I think we saw a little bit of brake lights coming from DJ getting off to the side there, letting the faster cars around. What a great shot. 3 different class cars all diving deep into 10A and 10B here at Royal Atlanta. Great racing from across the racetrack. Johnny Eckert had that incident early on, but doing a good job. Royal Atlanta, it's a 2.54 mile road course located here in Braselton, Georgia. Originally built or started being built in 1969, this racetrack has gone several different iterations. The biggest note here is right now you watch Johnny Eckert in the backstretch as he dives into 10A and 10B. It used to be almost a straight shot there called the old Gravity Cavity. So right here, it used to be much straighter track here at Atlanta. This is where Gravity Cavity would have been. And now as he comes up through 11, on the left side, now the right side of your screen, you saw some cones very briefly. That was the old turn 12, a 90-degree angle, and you could opt to go straight at that corner. On the right side of your screen, you see the old pit wall. So now they use that inside pit lane for pretty much every event that I've ever seen, motorcycle or cars alike. And then here as well, you see different alternating lines. The cars do not run the bus stop going into turn 2 and 3. The bus stop slows down the racers a lot, but they allow these guys to run the more open line. The bus stop in cars is very, very difficult, extremely tight, so almost a safety reason that they have to allow that slightly faster line. In Royal Atlanta, a lot of concrete walls, a few safer barriers, and specialized spots on the racetrack. And they also run a club circuit here, so instead of turning left at turn 5, some smaller series like Spec Miatas will take a right there and circle back onto the back straight midway on the back stretch. So a very, very cool raceway, allows a lot of different things. I was most recently there for a Moto America motorcycle race, a pro series where I was serving as a pit guy for one of the teams. So always really cool to see how good of a job iRacing does simulating these raceways from across the country and how absolutely spot on it is compared to the real life product. Another fun Road Atlanta statistic. Road Atlanta is one of those racetracks that was built way before any surrounding neighborhoods were in Braselton. But now is one of those tracks where neighbors, especially the ones outside of Turn 6, there's a small lake, and call it a pond. But one of those things that carries the noise well and actually just starts to really upset the neighbors. So Road Atlanta, hopefully not one of those tracks that's going to be legislated to death. I don't think it will be, since it's such a popular track. And it also has the luxury of having Lanier Raceway. So some of you short track guys that are tuning in and running multiple series, Lanier right across the road from Road Atlanta. It's a very cool experience if you're actually getting to be at Road Atlanta. Sometimes they have doubleheader weekends where both tracks are running in unison, and you can hear the oval guys running unless it's during the mandatory quiet hour at Road Atlanta. Sundays, I believe it's 11 to noon. These guys are required to have no racing going on due to local ordinances for Hall County. Hall County also has a rule that says no outside alcoholic beverages here at Road Atlanta Raceway, which is one of those rules that is, from my experience, never enforced. But another fun statistic about this very cool raceway. I've got to say, definitely one of my favorite tracks in the world. Provides a little bit of everything. A lot of ups, downs, a little bit of blind corners around the raceway, and just such a multifaceted event. Taking it back out front, Nick Terrell hasn't slowed down a whole lot. His last time by was 1 minute 11 seconds. We'll call it 1 minute 12 seconds. Only 0.6 off of his best race so far of the night. We had somebody ask, hey, is that quiet hour for the local church services? And it is. Down here in the old Bible Belt of Georgia, that is a thing that must happen. So quiet hour, I'm almost positive it's 11 to noon at Road Atlanta. Look at that. Nick Terrell gets around lap traffic. That's going to be Cody Mars Ledford doing his best to circulate. Starting to get a little bit more familiar with that LMP2. The more he drives it, the better he gets. So well done to Ledford for staying out there and getting the seat time that he needs. Nick Terrell, though, absolutely hammering off laps. The number 81 machine. Nick Terrell's going to have lap traffic here in front of him. That's going to be number 74 of Jack Forsey in his Daytona prototype. Terrell makes quick work of him going into 6. You're going to see Forsey try and get the draft of that faster machine here, but I'm not sure if he's going to be able to stick with it. And live time is showing that Nick Terrell just put down another personal best of the session, a 1 minute, 11 second .22. So Terrell, a man on an absolute mission here today. Behind him, you've got Alex Penn about 56 seconds back. Casey Carrington about 1 minute back. So we're going to take it back to Alex Penn pretty soon. You should see Casey Carrington coming into frame. Penn only about 5 seconds ahead of Carrington. And Carrington is having to navigate lap traffic here. He gets around Johnny Ecker, the number 9, diving into 6. That seems to be a very good, safe spot for a lot of these faster cars to get by some of these slower machines out here on the racetrack. If they're not able to make it stick going into 6 and 7, they kind of check up just a little bit to get a better drive out of 7 down the backstretch. But Alex Penn's starting to put a little bit more gap on Casey Carrington in 3rd right now. As we see Thiel, he's in pit lane. Getting a little bit of work done on the 69 machine. But Nick Terrell, a man on a mission, just did a 1 minute 10 second .68 lap time. The man keeps getting faster and faster at Road Atlanta as he's clicking off laps. But just as we move to him, Terrell goes off track into turn 3. Manages to save it, but might get a bit of a slowdown here. So Terrell just pushed way too hard and carried too much speed up into 2 and 3 and has a big moment. It's nice to see him putting down such fast lap times, but the last thing he wants to do right now is blow a 1 minute lead trying to chase faster lap time. So I think now you're going to see Terrell backing it off quite a bit after that big moment. Only 2.5 minutes left to go here at Road Atlanta. And Terrell with a very massive lead, doing a great job staying out there and keeping it clean. Terrell looking right now that he's going to extend his lead in the LMP2 class. Casey Carrington not having the night he wanted. He was second in points coming into tonight, but looks like Alex Penn, first time racing in this series. They were out of town last week for the series opener. Both Alex Penn and Race Control Joseph Penn had some real life racing things they absolutely had to be at. So Penn doing a great job for his first race into the series. Doing a fantastic job running second in the number 30. But good to see the fields are getting progressively bigger here at the Legacy Sports Car Series. A lot of great and very talented drivers. Always makes it a fun event for us to call. As Nick Terrell clicks off a lap. He did a 1:15, so he's definitely slowed way up after having a little bit of a scary moment coming out of turn 1, going into 2 and 3, where he had that spectacular off track. If there wasn't runoff on the driver's left of the track, he could have found himself in big trouble. With less than a minute to go, it's going to be Nick Terrell out front. Still hanging it out in the number 81 machine. This should be his last lap. It will be 38 laps for our fastest class in the LMP2s. Johnny Eckert still doing a fantastic job leading the Daytona prototypes, and then DJ Weeks leading the GT1 class. Nick Terrell's got Johnny Eckert in front of him in the number 90 machine. Eckert is about, caught 3 laps down from overall leader in the LMP2 class, Nick Terrell. But I believe Nick Terrell is going to cross the finish line for the final time at Road Atlanta. Nick Terrell brings it home up front. Alex Penn will be second for the LMP2s. Casey Carrington third. Fantastic driving from all of our athletes tonight. We saw a few drivers involved in incidents that were, some of them were avoidable, some of them weren't, but for the most part, great racing. But a great job from all of our competitors here tonight at the Legacy Sports Car Series, sponsored by Ledford Construction. Well done to all the drivers, putting on a great show for everybody at home. We're going to let everybody finish up their laps and then get some podium interviews going. Well done to all the drivers. We're going to get them all back around into pit lane. And then we're going to get ready to do it again next week at the Red Bull Ring Grand Prix. Practice starts 3 p.m. Eastern on Saturdays, with qualifying starting at 4, I believe. Yeah, I had to do a quick mental check and check my race notes here. So Practice lobby opens at 3, qualifying starts at 4, followed by a 45-minute race here. Next week at Red Bull Ring, the Grand Prix circuit. Always a great time, as they have a little bit of shenanigans on the backstretch. Parts flying everywhere. Cody Ledford finding himself involved in one more incident. We're going to try and get some of our athletes up into the waiting room. As these guys are just having a fun as the night comes to an end. All right, up first, we're going to have Johnny Eckert bringing it home in the Daytona prototype class. Eckert, I mean, that was great racing for the most part all night long here. And then we saw that one incident going into 10A between yourself and Jack Forsey. What happened there?
Yeah, I don't know. I felt I had better pace and that I was quicker for most of the lap, but I just couldn't get away in the first portion because the draft would bring him back. So I was worried more about keeping the inside line going into the chicane. So I stayed to the left, and just as he got to my right side, I was going to start coming back over towards closer to the normal braking line. And then I don't know, for a split second before we made contact, I guess. It looked like he was trying to push me out a little bit so that he might get a better run, but right after that we made contact. I didn't get any incidents for it, so I don't know if it was netcode, and I haven't looked at the incident yet, but it's unfortunate. I apologize to him for getting into him, but you know, it was not, I didn't want to wreck him for it. You know, that's not how I race, and that's not, you know, that's not how this goes either. Race control called it a racing deal, so I assume that there may have been a bit of netcode or something happened there. I'm not exactly sure, but I'll take a look after the race when I get out of the car.
Yeah, nothing but good camaraderie from everybody here at the Legacy Sports Car Series. You guys put on a heck of a show. I lost count of how many laps and how many position changes there were, but great racing across the board. How did the car feel for you as things developed tonight? Was it a pretty good, clean race and fun to drive, or was it holding on for dear life every lap?
My car was pretty good. I wasn't happy about the way it was handling towards the end of practice, and I was trying to make changes, but nothing I really did. I mean, I would make the smallest of tweaks, and it would absolutely like ruin the car. So I found a sweet spot, and I guess I got lucky with that in practice. But as the run went on, it felt like it was just getting a little bit tighter and tighter and tighter in some of the important corners, like going on to the backstretch. And that, you know, you lose a little bit of speed down the straightaway because of it. So I wasn't thrilled about that, and you can't really make many adjustments in this car. So I had to pretty much give that corner up in order to be good through the S's, which, you know, is a pretty good I don't know, good balance, I guess. I'd rather give that up and be decent through the S's than to have a mistake or something in the S's and be quick down the straightaway. So yeah, I thought went pretty well. I was finding more pace towards the end of the race too. So overall, really good race. Surprising to say the least again, because I was all over the place in practice. But yeah, in the end, I guess we got it all set up and it was ready to go.
Well, Eckert, always a great job. Always a pleasure having you up here in the booth with me. Before we let you go, anybody you'd like to thank at home tonight?
Yeah, first of all, thank you for doing the broadcasts of this great series. You know, I think we put on a show, at least for the first, you know, for a good portion of the first half. And once again, I apologize to Jack for the contact. I have to look at it again anyway. But yeah, I want to thank you for the broadcast admins for putting this on. Yeah, thank my teammate DJ Weeks who won GT1. He was keeping me calm through some of that because I was frustrated in my position, and all my Outlaw teammates and all the other series. And yeah, it was good to come home with another dub.
Well, Johnny, always a pleasure, my friend. We'll see you at the next one.
Thanks so much.
Up next, you've got DJ Weeks bringing it home in GT1. Looked a little bit lonely out there, but great driving overall. How'd it go for you tonight, DJ?
good. I was glad people found me after the race. I felt like I was by myself from the start, and it's unfortunate my competition had an issue, but you just run laps at that point, right?
That's why it's racing and not just collecting a paycheck. But DJ, how did that Corvette feel for you out there?
Great. The setup. I finally got the setup to turn, which these cars are a little bit harder because they don't have the downforce. But I finally got to turn, and it felt great. I had a little issue there in the last couple of laps with emerging and got some damage. But other than that, it was a great car.
Well, DJ, always a pleasure. Before we let you go tonight, man, anybody you'd like to thank? Sponsors, friends, family?
Yeah, just Outlaw Racing. We always try to do well, and you for broadcasting and Joseph for putting this league on.
Always a pleasure, DJ. We'll hopefully see you up here next week, my friend.
Yeah, good day.
Up next, man of the hour, making it 2 in a row for overall and class wins, Nick Terrell. Nick, you read me?
Read you loud and clear.
Nick, great run in that LMP2. We saw a personal best of a 1 minute 10 second, I believe, with 2 laps to go, and then a huge moment going into the bus stop of Road Atlanta. How terrified were you just threw away a minute lead when they had that incident?
Yeah, I crossed the start finish, and I was coming up the uphill, and I heard on my crew chief and saw the yellow flag pop up, and I was thinking like, oh crap, here we go, where is it? And then I looked up, and I could see Carolus Teal parked like basically sideways at the top of the hill, and I knew if I was going to try to brake and turn in, I was possibly going to wreck into him and end my race. So that's whenever I had to brake and just go a little bit left and went wide and took the 1 second slowdown instead of what could have been a race, maybe not a race ender, but would have been way more interesting for sure.
Well, yeah, we saw that happen with competitors last week that were starting to gain time, and then they had an incident, but glad you kept the car clean tonight. How were those LMP2s feeling better on the run as the tires came in, the fuel started to drop? Is that when you were feeling faster and faster, or were you just getting more comfortable out there?
Yeah, I was just getting kind of locked in, and then just as there were just less cars around to deal with in the traffic, and just being able to kind of get locked in, like I said, and just get in the zone and hit the corners. I was pushing a little just to kind of see if I could get down into the 110s because like I could see my optimal was telling me I could get down there, but got a little greedy, and as the incident nearly happened at the top there, it definitely made me kind of dial back a tiny bit and just go back to about 85% mode.
Well, so again, always a great performance out here. Before we let you go tonight, anybody you'd like to thank that maybe watching you along at home?
As always, the guys that are helping keep this league going, and yourself, and my tolerant family that deals with putting some practice and race times in and everything, and just glad to have a good weekend and 4th of July and all that good stuff.
Well, awesome. Have a great 4th, Nick. We hope to see you up here next week at the Red Bull Ring.
Sir, hope you enjoyed the Road Atlanta commentating, man. Have a good one.
You as well, sir. That's going to bring us home for Road Atlanta. 45 minutes of grueling racing from all of our competitors. Everybody doing a fantastic job here tonight. As always, we'd like to thank Legacy Sports Car Series, sponsored by Ledford Construction, for having us out. I'm James Easton in the booth. Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, always bringing the action. 1080p, 60 frames a second. We'll see you next week as we go to the Red Bull Ring for round 3. Have a good night, everyone.